Okay. Well, this morning we had our kicking practice, or a kicking practice, and we did an awful lot of drills. And a lot of times when you think of a kicking practice, you think it's mostly about the kickers, but really it's more about your teams. Guys learning how to protect and cover on the punt team, guys learning how to block punts and hold up guys to set up returns and things of that nature, and uh, you know, find out who can cover a kick on the kickoff and get somebody on the ground type thing. Setting up. We just really did drill work with our kickoff return. We didn't even really kick. We didn't even do a full unit play yet. We're not quite there yet as we phase things in. So it was good this morning, this afternoon. Going with shorts and helmets prior to our scrimmage tomorrow. I thought the guys were actually had a good level of energy, and I thought they did what they needed to do. I told the guys that the NCAA at this point doesn't force us to have them go in shorts today. It was a decision made by myself and the staff, and if they can learn to practice without the pads on, then we can continue to do that from time to time, throughout camp and throughout the season. So I thought they took that to heart and did a good job today. So with that, I will open it up and see what y'all want to know.
Mark, is this scrimmage, first scrimmage tomorrow? Can some guys stake some claims on possible starting jobs, or is it a little too early?
Right. Well, we told them. I told them after practice today that it is the closest thing we have to simulating a game. We're trying to evaluate what's going on. But I told them every single drill you do, we're evaluating. I said if I'm watching pass skeleton and there's a pass rush drill over there during practice, and you're thinking I'm not watching, I'm watching, because every night I watch the wide angle and I watch the tight angle. I watch every single play, and I am along with our staff. We are trying to evaluate who is ready to play, who's capable of playing, who's dependable enough to play, and we're very sincere about wanting to play a lot of guys. We want to play as many guys that are responsible enough for that job, and we know everybody can't start, but shoot, if you got two guys at one position that are both ready, game ready, then let's play them. Let's rotate them. Let's find a way to continue to let them compete, but let them play. And so it's a big step towards deciding, who's going to start. And what happens is it's not like it might be at the end of this scrimmage there'll be a guy that we say, okay, you know what, I think that guy can play for Georgia. So whether or not he's a starter or not, that's kind of what we're determining more than who's in the starting lineup.
How different are your practices when you have the shorts as opposed to pads? You talk about
Right.
what can you do to
Right.
the shorts more? What do they have to do?
Well, they have to keep their focus. Number one, sometimes when you take the pads off, they're like, well, it's kind of a chill out day. It's kind of a day of taking it easy, So you want them to continue to practice with full speed tempo. You want them hustling. You still want them to be in a football position when we're doing all of our drill work, even though, theoretically they're not really blocking anybody now full speed, where you must get your pad level down. And, in pads, there's certain things you have to do or you're going to get destroyed. You're going to get knocked around and embarrassed. Where in shorts, you could probably get away with playing high, but if you play high, you're forming a bad habit. So, staying in a football position, hustling, focusing, you know. If you let down at all mentally on your focus, then you're probably going to throw a bunch of picks and drop a bunch of balls and be off just enough where you're not going to execute. Or you may not communicate well on the back end defensively. There's so many things that you can do in shorts that we can get better at without getting beat up.
You find your younger players, guys who just came on campus, don't realize that you are watching every single play, and it is
Right. They're learning, and some of them are learning that we're serious about any rule we have. Hey, if we say to do this, we're serious about it. Whether it's the gear of the day, or whether it's don't wear your own stuff, or whether it's tuck your shirt in or buckle your chin strap, or whatever it might be. If we say that this is what we expect, then we're going to hold them accountable to that. And sometimes they're like, I can't believe, this is such a big deal. Well, it's a big deal if we say it's a rule at Georgia, it's a big deal. And the faster you learn to do it the Georgia way, the faster you're going to get a chance to play here at Georgia and hopefully stick around long enough to get your degree.
Mark, quite a few guys seem not to. We didn't notice quite a few guys out there this
Yeah.
afternoon. Has there been anything beyond the normal hand bumps and bruises that's come up so far?
Anything that you've heard about that Ron's released, you know of anything significant enough to have a surgery, and everything else we think is a matter of days,
Mark, what's behind Josh Harvey Clemens getting some work at outside linebacker?
Part of it is just the Sam linebacker position is depleted enough where we had to figure out, how we're going to line up, and that was part of it. The reason why he's a natural for that position is that nickel position, or whatever we're talking about, the star position, whatever you want to say, they're very much alike in assignment. The difference is whether or not you play over a tight end or not. And so if you're a Sam linebacker in base, you're probably going to have to play over a tight end in what we call a 9 technique, an outside technique on the tight end. And so we needed him to get a little work at that.
So he's going to maybe do that going forward a little bit?
It's really more of a quick fix right now because of our injury situation with Deloach and the other, who's that joker? Floyd, yeah, Leonard Floyd. I'm sorry, Floyd family. I got a lot of names and no cheat sheet. But he's number 84, and he's a really good player.
Is that obviously that's left
And a nice
hand.
kid.
Obviously that's left hand again. Is that just a freak thing that's happening in
Yeah.
that position, or are you guys?
I didn't know I really didn't know his left hands until you said it, but I have no idea. It's hand-to-hand combat. And you can strengthen just about everything in the world. I mean, you can strengthen your grip a little bit, but I don't know if you can strengthen your hand if your thumb gets bent back or if your hand gets cracked.
When do you expect to practice?
Leonard,
Yeah.
we're hoping that everybody early next week.
Could you just switch up the quote from yesterday about the ability to apply it in this situation as well? Just, Deloach has been around and he knows a little more about it. It's a little more painful when it's a guy like Leonard.
Right, yeah, Leonard, the big thing is we do an awful lot. The way we're structured, we do a lot of walkthroughs. I mean, everything we're doing at practice, we are walking through those assignments prior to that happening. And then we're even walking through reviewing what happened yesterday. So they'll at least be able to stand up, line up in their position, and just walk and talk through every assignment. So at least from a mental point of view, they shouldn't get too far behind. But it is tough on a young guy.
Is there a reason why this particular camp you wanted to do a little more ones-on-ones? The players have kind of talked about that. I know that seems to be more of a spring thing in the past.
Part of the reason is we wanted to let our 1 units get more reps, and more reps in succession, where we might have a drill that's normally a 4-play drive. Now we're doing 6-play drives, and then the 2s might get 4 plays. So it's more of a 6-4 ratio than the other ratio we had. And if you didn't do 1s versus 1s, then then your 1s, if you'd be going 6 reps with both groups in order for your 1s to get 6 plays in a row. So that was one of the biggest reasons why we felt like your 1s are probably going to play more than your 2s, and so we were structured where 1s and 2s were getting equal reps because we were, 1s were versus 2s on offense, and number 1 defense versus 2 offense. If you understand what I'm saying, so that way, no matter however many reps the 1s get, the 2s get that many because they're going against the 1s. But if 1s go against each other, I can get 6 with the 1s, 4 with the 2s, and that was a big part of it.
Will that be the case tomorrow?
Tomorrow when we scrimmage, we won't do that tomorrow in the scrimmage.
Mark, did anybody catch your eye kick returns this morning?
Well, we didn't do any kickoff return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the punt, we didn't do any punt return at all, and the return and block was more protection and block. We were trying to protect for the punts, and we were trying to block the punts more so than setting up returns. It was just kind of the succession and how we're teaching it right now. So we really didn't do any of that.
What about the kickers, anything from the sport?
Not really. We got guys competing, and we did kick some extra point field goals, and I don't even know. We chart everything, but I don't remember who did what really.
Mark, it's been several days since someone asked you about Marshall Morgan's
Right.
availability for form something. Anything going on that you can share?
If you ask me at halftime of the first game, I'll let y'all know.
Wait, is that?
If you do half game suspension?
You go up for 2 every time.
Should we glean anything from that?
I'm just saying that, you'll know whether he's in the first game or not by then. You may not have to ask then.
What would you say your place kicker depth chart looks like right now?
It's still up in the air.
Could you need a new holder, perhaps?
Well, we always work at least 2 holders, so we'll have enough holders.
Who holds with St. Dare's?
Lucas Red is doing some holding, and Fatone Bout is doing some holding. We actually have 3 guys that have been working it right now.
Hey, Hudson Mason, we were talking to him the other day. He said he definitely feels a little more pep in his step.
Yeah, it's got to be good.
He knows it, knows it's going to be some live bullets, and talking about still getting tingly about the chance to play a meaningful game in a meaningful situation. What if you could? Is this reflected in the way you see him prepared and practicing? That kind of thing?
That guy loves football, and even last year when he was second team but trying to redshirt, that kind of weird place that he was in last year, I just think he enjoys football so much. He enjoys practice so much, and the challenge of being with the 2 unit, trying to make some positive things happen versus the number 1 unit. He always practices with a purpose. But I mean, I know that as the season wore on, it was tougher and tougher, just to be going through it. And even as last season progressed, and we knew that we had a shot at the SEC championship, we knew we had a possible shot at the national championship. Sometimes by the end of the season, if you're going to be redshirted, you kind of already know. Well, he still didn't know. He didn't know going in the SEC championship game, and if we'd have won that and Murray got hurt the last play, he's probably playing in the national championship game. So it was kind of a tough road for him, but I'm real proud of him. I'm glad he's here.
Coach, how tough is it y'all got quite a bevy of quarterbacks there, none of them without skill.
Right. No, I know. It's hard to get him,
Yeah.
Enough reps right now, but Fatone has been struggling throwing lately. He's got a little bit of out of his shoulder or the lat or some muscle that is in the throwing motion that's been bothering him. So that's kind of taken a little bit of relief off that situation.
How do you, I guess you do with other guys too, but David and DJ, et cetera. How do you develop multiple guys at the same time when there's only so many snaps to go around?
Yeah, well, it's such a cerebral position that you're in that meeting room every day. You're answering questions. There's film on the board, and there's questions being asked. What are you going to do? 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 And then why are you doing what you're doing? I mean, you can learn a lot, and everybody does a lot of the fundamental work, so I think everybody gets that. And then if you're diligent, you'll get some mental reps every time you're watching and observing what's going on. And then when you get your physical rep, you got to take advantage of it.
How would Jonathan Rumpf done as far as picking up the system?
Yeah, Jonathan is really, I see a big difference in him now than spring. He was really, you could just see the gears turning in the spring, trying to figure out how to line up, what route it is, how to run the route. Now he had a tremendous summer. He's in great shape. He's got a much better working knowledge of the system. He knows how to run routes versus certain looks. I mean, he's certainly not perfected everything, but he just looks so much more confident.
That GA game kind of maybe inspire him a little bit, maybe run a little
I
harder?
think so. I think the G-Day, anytime you have success, especially out in public, and people start talking about it and writing about it, it's got to help your confidence, and I'm sure it helped motivate him throughout the summer.
In the case of Bauta, are you still set on him being a quarterback? Would you have, is it even being considered that he could try another?
Yeah, we've not gotten into that discussion at all. He's a quarterback right now.
Noticed that Nathan Diaz working a lot of tight ends. Should we make anything of that, or is it just
No,
what you do with them while they're not working on?
Yeah, we use them. We use those guys all hands on deck when we're doing any kind of a scout look, and then I know Coach Lilly uses him to do a lot of drill work with his tight ends to be a defender and all that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't remember him lining up as a tight end, but I know he spends a lot of time with the tight ends.
Coach, watching some of the D-backs working with Coach Lakatos, seemed like they were working on a lot of cloud coverage, rolling coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Have you gotten to the point where you're starting to, kind of expand the concepts you're feeding to some of the younger defensive backs as far as the playbook goes?
Well, they've got to learn. I don't see, like I said the other day, Coach Grantham and our defensive staff is not slowing down or not reducing the installation. Okay, we're installing everything. So to answer your question, yeah, we're exposing them to everything in our playbook, and then once it gets to the time for game planning a certain team, then we got to decide what we reduce it to. We always reduce the big plan. I mean, every concept we have on defense, you never run it out. Just like offensively, we might have this many plays, but in this game, we're going to run this many, And so the defense is the same way. They'll condense it and try to do things that we think our guys can execute once we get there.
It's announced today that game day will be at the first game. Georgia Bulldogs have not done so hot.
Yeah.
And game day's been in town late. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I know when they were here, we didn't do very good. And I mean, how many times has it been at a away game? I don't know either. So, did we lose that one? What's that? Oh, they were there last year. Oh, that was. Were they?
I thought that was a joke. Yeah.
No, I really don't know. I don't know when they're there. I mean, I don't remember. I knew when they're here, but I don't remember when they're at the other place, whatever place that is. So maybe we're due. We're due.
If you put in more of a Clemson, Mark, how hard is it going to be to find somebody to get him a late Taj Boyd with the way he can?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if you can simulate him. Hopefully, just every day when we work against each other, it'll be similar in the types of balls that our guys can throw and that he can throw. But as far as simulating a guy who can run like that, I'm not sure what the coaches will do.
Was there a guy on your schedule last year that was similar to him? I'm thinking of James Franklin in Missouri, but I don't know if that's accurate comparison.
I think I don't know if I'd put them in the same category. I think they're different enough in their style of offense and what they're trying to do. I mean, we've had some issues. Well, everybody has issues with the mobile quarterback, especially when he really can throw. Because if the guy can really throw, then you got to play coverage. I mean, you got to play coverage. And if you play coverage and you don't rush properly, then that guy can create by buying time behind the line of scrimmage until somebody works open or crossing the line of scrimmage and getting the first down. It's just very frustrating to defend guys that are truly great passers and great athletes, and that's what Taj is.
Did you see the game moving to a point where the majority are dual threat?
Well, I think that people are looking for those guys, but there aren't. It's not like they grow on trees. I mean, Taj is pretty special. There's more and more guys that are sprouting up like that, but there's still an awful lot that are better runners than passers, And what'll happen sometimes is if the QB can really run, then, and you've got to account for his ability to run, then you have to simplify your coverages because you've got to get another defender in the box or you're dead. So now when you spin that other safety in the box, you go to a one high look, then it simplifies the coverages and it doesn't have to be as intricate of a game plan throwing the ball.
Got time for one more?
Something everybody seems to be talking about today in the wake of all this Johnny Manziel autograph stuff is how, he can't sell his autograph, but he can go to the bookstore and buy number 2 Texan and there's Mary Mercer's with him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think college football ever do anything that will kind of level the playing field for some of the kids who school profit?
Well, I don't know about all that. I think it's going to be, I just don't know how it could work where it didn't become so hard to manage.
Yeah.
If you just said, okay, everybody can sell their stuff, you can just kind of imagine yourself what that might turn into and how problematic it could become.
Would you say though that there are inequities in the system right now as it relates to the players?
Well, I think this. I think that we in our league support the cost of attendance for all of our players, at least, and we're ready to go further than that. But we think that's the best shot at getting more money into the hands of our players.
Thank you.